Good afternoon and a warm welcome to all technology leaders who have joined us. As business strategists and business aligned IT decision maker, it is a key responsibility for all of us to keep our business running in different environment or situation and further scale this up than ever before. It may be old normal or new normal. The key levers for a CIO or an IT business leader to manage and scale up business are infrastructure, business applications, information security, IT governance, and last but not the least, IT managed services. So whenever we think of IT managed service for enterprise IT operations, we visualize a partner who is responsible to manage our IT environment uptime as per the contract and predefined SLA. Not all managed service providers are equal, and some may simply be an inappropriate choice for our business needs and cost us a lot more than expected. So when we are completely perplexed about how to optimize our IT budgets, rightly to meet the changing business demands and to make the most efficient use of our IT resources, we move out to find the right partner who can manage this holistically with the best results for our business. However, while selecting the right partner, some few decisive pointers come to our mind, like will my managed service provider be proactive, or will they be just reactive in addressing my IT business challenges? Will they be providing us the services themselves or further outsource it on a third-party payroll? Do they have a limited skill competency or they have a wide portfolio of skill set? Can my service provider give me an end-to-end solution customized as per my business requirements? Or is the service provider a stable company, having practical experience in remediating complex business issues, investing our time, resources, and money efficiently? Friends and delegates, these questions have been haunting our mind since decades. But let us all take a step forward and try co-creating and building a new managed service model which will help us in our business transformation journey and be the new normal. Welcoming you all again for this fireside chat and thought leadership session titled Co-Create the Future Model of Managed Services 5.0, brought to you by Team Computers. Myself, Prasenjit Mukherjee, your friend and host for the afternoon, and today I have with me four seasoned, eminent, and industry-respected IT C-suite leaders. We have Mr. Rajiv Sikka, CIO Medanta, the Medicity Hospital. Mr. Sikka has a rich experience of more than 28 years working in IT leadership role. We have Dr. Suresh A. Shanmugam, Head Innovation and Future Technologies, Mahindra and Mahindra Financial Services. Well, if I start speaking about Dr. Suresh and his professional achievements, 1 hour will be too short a time. Crisply speaking, Dr. Suresh is a tech lead architect, a data scientist, an academician, researcher, and a mentor, bringing on board an experience of more than 32 years. We further have, along with us, Mr. Mayank Bhargava, CIO, Pramerica Life Insurance. Mr. Bhargava is a seasoned professional with over 15 years in the insurance industry and significant experience of implementing and managing end-to-end business applications, having worked with organizations like Tata AIG Life Insurance and Cognizant. Further, we have with us Mr. Deepak Jain, who is CEO of Athilus. We consider Mr. Jain as one of the thought leaders for IT managed services in India because of his 30 years of rich experience at Wipro, leading and managing their infrastructure and managed services business both nationally and internationally. Friends, during the flow of the webinar, we shall take a couple of quiz breaks where you have a chance to participate and win some attractive prizes. Each of the quiz will have 3 winners, and we will be extending them Amazon vouchers worth ₹1,000. Further, audience may ask questions using the question and answer window. We shall try to take them up during the session or at the end of the session. Delegates, we all may recall that managed services started in a shape which we used to call as FMS, or Facility Managed Services, during late 90s, predominantly focusing on transactional manpower services attached to siloed processes. Later, this model transformed into a mix of manpower plus SLA model. Over the years, a lot of transformation which was needed in this core customer facing area did not gain any kind of a momentum. Hence, today we are laying the foundation stone, and jointly we shall co-create the future model of managed services 5.0. You all must be thinking, why 5.0? What is there in 5.0? Because we would try to bring out the 5 building blocks for this future model. We have named it as 5.0. So let us start this thought leadership where we'll all together co-create this model of managed services 5.0. So first I will move to Mr. Rajiv Sikka, who's the CIO for Medanta Medicity. Rajiv would ask you to bring to us your thoughts on the first building block. What changes are required in managed services now to align with your business dynamics? You come from the hospital and healthcare industry. So what kind of changes are required in managed services to align with your business dynamics? Do you have a differentiated SLA policy internally to meet your business KPIs as per business critical groups? You must be having different business critical groups within your function. And hence, do you think we need to relook at SLA beyond IT? Rajiv, we want to hear from you.
Sure. So before I answer this, first of all, Prasanjit and Team Computers, many thanks for inviting me. It's a privilege, and look forward to even this co-creation model, because not each and everything is crystal clear even in the mind of CIOs, including myself, that how this model will evolve and what is in it for both service provider as well as the client. In this case, we. So, before I try to answer this, let's understand that what is an objective of a CIO or an IT organization within any industry vertical. And I'll talk about, hospital sector or healthcare a bit later in the same discussion. So I think the foremost purpose of any CIO and IT is that it should be, aligning IT in line with the business of the organization in which they are servicing it, and using IT for competitive advantage. This is the fundamental for which any IT organization in any industry vertical exists. So this is given.
Noted.
Yeah. So this is the strategy, core thinking, moving forward kind of a step. But in addition to this, CIO also has to run day-to-day ops, which includes making the business application up and running, ensuring that governance, risk and compliances are well in place while we are doing the business. And in doing these two activities, running the ops and looking for aligning the IT for the business, they constantly look for new solution around technologies. And why these solutions are there, again, irrespective of industry verticals, I think these are there for 3-4 major reasons. A, to reduce cost. B, to increase revenue stroke profit. Third, probably to do business very fast, which means the agility is there and you have a competitive advantage. You're launching a product faster than your competition. And I'll give you examples which we did recently in the COVID era. So these are the large level objectives. Now what happens is that when you talk about SLAs, when I used to keep to most of the managed service organization, they have typical SLAs. They, we have number of open tickets. We have S1, S1, S2, P1, P2. These are my time zones for resolving them. So and so forth. Or how many bugs get fixed if it is a software services in the managed contract. And then, or they say that my cost per resource is getting reduced. I have 5,000 odd people in my company, and I'm now servicing you with these many FTs, which means that these many costs per resources which are getting supported. So all that is there. If you look into this, most of the managed service providers are trying to give you on these matrices, while CIO objectives are totally different. His objectives are how do you return the shareholders, maximize wealth, customer acquisition, and so forth, revenue growth, cost reduction, and these are the stuff. Now major challenge is that most of the folks have not been able to understand that how do I align CIO and IT organization objectives with my service delivery. So I think somewhere we have to have those kind of managed service models who can align IT organization objectives with the services. Now what it means, I'll give you an example of the healthcare industry. And you rightly said that, do I have different SLAs for my different line of businesses? 101%.
Yeah, and sub functions which you have.
And sub function. I'll give you an example. OT, okay, in operation theater and also in the radiology centers, we have an SLA to replace monitor, and these are not like a typical monitor which we work for in 3 minutes. Just in 3 minutes. Nowhere, a typical managed service guy can even imagine that in 3 minutes I have to replace a monitor, because 3 minutes, if doctor is not able to see what he's operating on, especially in the neuro and in the cardiac surgeries, patient may or may not exist. Okay. So does people understand this? If I'm talking about CRM, as one of my support model, where we were co-building, co-creating a CRM with one of the partners. Healthcare industry doesn't sell services on the internet. They doesn't sell, they don't put a poster that we have a very fundu OT and why don't you come and get operated in Medanta. Nothing of that sort. We don't say that it's a Diwali season, so you get, if you do one surgery within next 1 week, second surgery within a year is free. Nothing of that sort. So people have to understand that what context they are giving services, and accordingly they should be in a position to align the SLAs as per the business needs. Similarly, if I took an example of OT, I took an example of CRM, which are totally different contexts in other industry verticals. In other industry verticals, how do you bombard and acquire customers? Nowhere in healthcare industry in India you are supposed to acquire customers. Nowhere. It is as per against the MCI guidelines and Government of India guidelines. So what I'm saying is that SLA has to be in line with the business context. So someone in the managed service have to have that business context, business knowledge, and that's given. If you don't have business context, I don't look into that partner for my service delivery. That's the basic premises which me.
So you say that definitely now when CIO is the bridge between the business and IT, and he is a part of the board also many a times. So he should think on the business lines and the business SLAs rather than the IT SLA, siloed IT SLA. Great, right. And definitely we understand that what kind of stringent SLAs which you might be having in your hospital environment where it's a matter of life and death. Okay. Yeah. So what Mr. Jain, Mr. Deepak Jain, you have seen the managed services transformation since years. Okay, as you have been spearheading this business in organizations like Wipro. I request to you for some insights on this.
Thanks, Prasanjit. First of all, you've been very modest while you introduced all of us as, industry veteran. You've been very modest about yourself. You have 28 years of experience and having worked with Reliance, Bestcom and whatnot, so I think your experience is no less than any one of our experiences. So, it's great to be with people like Rajiv, Mayank and Suresh. It's wonderful. So quickly, I absolutely agree with what Rajiv said. I will only give a couple of examples and the hesitation the managed service partners have had so far. So when I first proposed a proposal for a managed services to one of the large telecom company, my proposal got rejected in the first round because the customer asked for a business SLA. And it was, he said, look, Messrs. Wipro, you need to take accountability of churn in the telecom subscriber. So I have a certain subscriber base. And if the subscriber base comes down, then you will be taking penalty. So I told him, look, what is subscriber churn got to do with me? I am providing support to servers, networks, desktops, and all. So how can I influence your churn?
Mm-hmm.
Then when he spent time with me, he said, look, do you understand why the customers churn? The biggest reason of churn has been two. One, either inaccurate billing. Second, poor response from the contact center. These are two prime reasons. And that time mobile number portability was not there. So it's a little difficult. And he says, look, do you understand how do you play a role in that? You are going to run the servers, the application running on top of it. They are supposed to generate bill for millions of subscribers every bill cycle. And if even 1% bill cycle goes wrong, at least thousands of customers will get a wrong bill. And the moment I give a wrong bill, I don't get paid because the customer gets into dispute and I lose heavy money. And you know how much revenue we make per subscriber in 300, 400 rupees. Then I understood, okay, we have a role to play. While we may say billing accuracy is none of my problem, but now I understand how do I impact your business? Mm-hmm. And once he explained that to me, it became easier for me to relate to, oh yeah, this is what it means. So did I go and commit on the business SLA? Still no, because for me it was a big change from my organization to even commit my revenue to a business SLA of customer churn. But then I realized, look, if we are in this business where we are running critical IT operation, we cannot have zero skin in the game. We must understand where the CIO has stick his neck out, like Rajiv said. We have to support him. We have to make the organization run on IT. That was one. A quickly second example would be, I had one of my large customer, Maruti, and Mr. Rupal continues to be the leader. And when I was talking to him, one fine day he called me up and he was very upset. He says, look, what is happening? There's a big queue in front of my Competent Automobile workshop. Hundreds of cars are waiting for 1 hour. So I said, what happened, Mr. Rupal? He said, look, we are not able to generate simple acknowledgement slip for the vehicle. And that is because your software or your hardware is taking 10 minutes where it should take 1 minute. So then I checked quickly, server utilization, all 99%, database, all fine. Then I said, Mr. Rupal, whatever we have done is all fine. It must be somewhere else. Then he says, why don't you send one of your engineers, come and sit in Competent Automobile. So immediately sent one. Then he understood the clerk who was typing the acknowledgement, the application was taking forever to load. He pressed one button, it's going through some indexing process and it's not coming, 10 minutes. Then we quickly spoke to application team, the server team, and they worked together to quickly kill the process, get the query run. So the essential point was the SLA which Mr. Upal was expecting. While he signed 99% availability of hardware, he said, look, DJ, we made a mistake. Now we want this SLA. We want every car should be in the workshop within few minutes. And that's the SLA I'm going to measure henceforth. I'm not interested in any other thing. So absolutely, this is very critical. And no managed service provider would be able to even serve the customer even with anything unless he or she acknowledges that there's a business need and his service delivery has to get oriented towards that.
Yeah, right. And in fact, I think we now have actually got a flavor of the first building block, okay, what we were talking about out of that 5.0, which is the business SLA. We should look beyond IT SLA and move towards business SLA, which will actually help the business. Okay. Great, thanks Rajiv, thanks DJ. Now I will move to the second building block and I will call in Suresh. Suresh, you have a pan-India business presence operation, okay, and that too at remote village locations. However, due to this sudden pandemic, the working and the business delivery style demanded a huge change from IT department. It is time to follow the true shared service delivery model to align with your business process better. What are your opinions on this? Further, how is it important to ensure that your IT services are aligned with your business goals? Suresh.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for that introduction, Prasid, because I don't know, you are not just a simple moderator, you are a CIO also. So we'll be very happy. You won't bluff, even we don't want to bluff to you because it's like, no, it's a give and take. Now we are in the receiving end, you are in the delivering end. So thanks for it, and surely it's a need of the hour. That's what that topic, what we are talking about. Even industry is thinking about 4.0. Now we are thinking about 5.0, which is beyond industry 1%, whatever. But coming back to managed services, why Mahindra or why I am here? I can proudly say for last 2 decades, we have outsourced similar thing, 99.99, almost 700 people across the country. For every 5 location of 90% is from an outsourced company agency, working for an outsourced agency, sticking to people for more than 15 to 20 years. So that's a greatness where I have not recruited anybody in my role, but they represent that companies. They do come and station in our offices. They do work. And rural India, feel and touch. People are more emotional. For us, e-businesses, less of electronics, more of emotions. But still, the managed services done. And especially the topic of managed services, how it is existed for a number of years, it doesn't matter. It's like how you get adopt and getting changed to the current situations and aligning your business and ensuring the timely service matters a lot. And if you see, even the specialist, whatever you claim it, part of it, like whatever the diversified kind of models we declare, talking about monitoring networks, backups and recovery, email hosting, data storage, CRMs, and managing the, what are the compliance, security. These are the deliverables part of a managed service, which anybody can do it. But when it comes to business, especially the kind of operations we do spread, it's more to do saying like how we avoid decrease in employee downtime. Okay. So that is nothing but I'm putting a parallel service so that that decrease in employee time is avoided. At least my employees, we do have some 35,000 people across the country. They do use multiple cassettes, whatever it is, to connect to the central system. Again, I have a centrally stored with distributed data capture. So they use any omni-channels collaborations to connect to central system. But they require some IT person who can speak their language, who can speak their model and ensure it. So the decrease in employee downtime is not seen. So we have as much as of employees availability and high availability in terms of people. Second, simplify our business management. What you say is from deliverable from the IT side, we call even our division with the partners, whatever we try to engage. We said simplify as much as the business management. It should be with 1 or 2, what are the conversation which is between the customer and end customer, both internal and external, where IT takes up. And they are able to position it and ensure that it comes up faster. Even we have a tagline, within 2 hours, the solution has to be there. If it takes beyond that, within 2 days, that particular technology will get replaced with the supporting technology. And use as much as expand our expertise and capacity, which if I would want to build on my own and trying to build it, it would have taken that much years. And the kind of technology getting changed, the technology getting used by multiple people, we are trying to use the third party where they are helping us in expanding our expertise and trying to create that capacity which they can help and service them. And the very important thing is streamlining our IT budget. Still, the kind of branches opening, the kind of operations happening, the kind of customers coming, we generally get everything in the month end. Try to use as much as optimization, whatever it is. So that IT budget generally raises in the month end, trying to bring it out to the normal. So when you talk about cloud services, bringing some third party, such kind of managed services enables me to deploy it faster. So I no need to wait and take concurrence from the people. Rather than I generally train the trainer concept, use this kind of resources. These resources ensures so that I can play within the budget, I can play within the business, I can ensure that things can be timely delivered. And since part of the BFSI and financial services, you might be knowing even during the CIO days, like we are more concentrating on compliance, regulation, governance to ensure things to be timely supported also, so that the manager gets more confidence and the trust is built internally with the peers and other things. So those things are also taken care, starting from an administrator till going great in terms of multiple people. And the end is what as much as today part of the secure access. The security today we have seen that enough topics are debated more unsecured. But when it comes to expertise, when it comes to experience, when it comes to even awareness, it's very, very few people are trying to do it. So this comes part of the managed services. So putting all these things into one bouquet and trying to deploy it, ensure it so that the business creates it. And internally, we have committed to people to say, within 2 days, any complaint across the country will be addressed because that's a SLA signed with the partners. they ensure like the customer gets his technology up and running.
Okay. Great. Thanks, Suresh. That means the second building block, the flavor what we are getting is the business process aligned service delivery. Okay, that is what we are moving towards. Thanks, Suresh. Now I will invite Mayank. Mayank, let's discuss on the third building block. Okay, what do you think should be the third one?
Firstly, thanks, Prasanjit, for a warm introduction at the beginning. And I kind of resonate with what Dr. Suresh and Deepak mentioned about to you. So I think it'll be great to have your views as well on this very relevant and contextual discussion. See, I think, on the managed services side, I mean, when we're kind of looking at things like, differentiated SLAs for different services, or having a very aligned content, very business aligned SLAs, instead of really looking at only from a technology orientation, or finding out how those SLAs would be really relevant for the business side. I think, somewhere where it's important to look at the human aspect of delivering those SLAs, and that's how traditionally the managed services has been.
Right.
But I think a very critical component, and more so in today's world, which is there as an expectation and also a capability available, is on the automation. So how do we bring in automation in this entire setup? So that the SLAs can be met, the services that are being delivered are more aligned to the business requirements, and eventually, how do you deliver a better customer experience, right? So typical users are the internal employees, who are largely the consumer of these managed services. So for those customers who are there with you, for about 8 to 9 hours on a day, about at least 40 hours in a week, how do you deliver a better experience for them? And they come in at times with very, very differentiated or very different backgrounds, very diverse backgrounds. Some of them would not understand technology at all, and they couldn't care less.
Mm-hmm.
What your constraints might be, what you can do, what you cannot do. As long as that person's email is not working on his mobile, he or she will raise hell over it. Whereas it might be a very small thing, or the person's password has expired despite your sending reminders, multiple reminders, and because of which the person is not able to work, he or she is again going to raise hell over it. So, so while those SLAs have to be met, but how do you kind of, bring in that automation or those capabilities of self-service, which would actually help you delivering a better experience for that users? And some of these could possibly work 24/7 as well, by the virtue of having something available at the disposal of the end user or your consumer, and the consumer knowing about those capabilities, and the capabilities being so simple for any consumer to use. I think we would possibly be making a very, very significant differentiation on the quality as well as the effectiveness of the managed services, which generally, and I'm kind of speaking to myself as well, which we're trying to change internally, has been seen mostly as a people-centric activity. You've got a problem, you've got more people, you've got more employees, put in more people. You've got more locations, put in more people. So how do you bring in an element of automation and ensure that still doesn't shoot through the roof? So because it has to hold its cost benefit analysis, otherwise it would not get cleared from the CFO's desk. Right. So how do you find in the right balance of automation with the set of people who are going to deliver those capabilities and keep it cost effective? So I think this possibly could be a third building block to look at in creating a differentiated managed services delivery.
So Mayank, when you're talking about automation, and rightly said that this should be a third block, have you already started, being a forward-looking organization and a CIO yourself? Have you ever started this automation in your organization, or not yet started? You're evaluating it, and if yes, then what is your experience? If you can.
Okay. So it's automation has seen different shapes depending on the time that you've been in. So 3-4 years back, maybe 5 years back, doing a password reset by the end user itself was considered an automation. As things move forward, things started evolving. Self-healing solutions started coming in. The agents that you deploy, which would monitor the health. So first the monitoring part and then the healing part. And passing on that information to the help desk teams for them to know that there is potentially a problem which is in the making and there is some kind of a troubleshooting or health checkup that is required. And then moving on to a self-healing solutions. So we've gone through some of those implementations. We've actually evaluated some of them and realized that they're not really making a good value proposition when you kind of look at the associated costs. So some of them we had to rule out. And right now, as we are speaking, we are trying to change our managed services model drastically by getting in, self-healing bots or self-service capabilities available for the users on their desktops, where they would be able to get some of the most commonly raised requests, generated on their own and serviced on their own, without necessarily requiring an intervention from a help desk engineer. The idea is not to,
which will enhance your resolution time also, response and resolution time.
Definitely. Yeah. So we are looking at, broadly 3 pillars there that we expect to make an impact on. One is reduction in the time for that request to get executed. B, not really having a dependency on the availability of a service engineer, because while you have a extended window of working from 8 to 8, including Saturdays, but what if this is required on a Sunday, right? Then the entire machinery kind of is at the mercy of the person is able to reach out to, or if it is required beyond the office hours. Yep. And these are standard requests. We kind of get them in hundreds, if not thousands, in a month, and the resolution is exactly the same every single time, right? And the third aspect is, which we hope that both of these things kind of getting addressed, would be in improving the perception that the users have about technology. That anything that you are, raising a request, it will take time because it will have tons of approvals, at times cost approvals, information security approvals, and then only the request is going to get done. So for them, the end-to-end time is what they consider is the time that technology team is taking, whereas the execution time is possibly maybe just 10% or 15% of the total time that is there. So we are looking at reducing the waiting time and getting it closer to the execution time, and hoping to improve the overall, internal customer experience with us.
Great. Thanks, Mike. Now, on the same point, I will request Mr. Deepak Jain that the question is automation a game changer and not a hype alone? Because we have been hearing about automation, but actually, is it a game changer or is it just a hype which is moving for years? DJ.
Thanks, Prasanjit. And I first of all, I want to compliment Mayank. I've heard great stories about the way he is driving the whole function, and he's among the top 20 percentile of the company, in my view, who have really done big steps in automation. So congrats, Mayank.
Thank you so much.
So a couple of points on this automation. So one, when I looked at automation, the mistake we have made in the last few years has been that we believe automation is equal to a tool. There are hundreds of vendors out there who are selling a tool. Each tool has its own pluses and minuses. And what has happened, we position tool as the solution to the client. Whereas if you were to recall what Rajiv said a while ago, tool is only a tool. Once we must understand the business process which can benefit from automation. And that's the key part. Most of us, fall into trap of there's a great tool. I don't know to name any tool. And each tool can offer this percentage of solution and that percentage of solution, but that's only the tail. The head is the business process, where exactly the automation make the best sense to the client. I think that's something, if you can reverse in 5.0, that would be a game changer. If you continue to do tool as the leader, then I think we'll again lose few more years, and it will remain a hype. Now on that, I'll just tell you, when I looked at the automation, there are three parts to it. The automation should be based on the cognitive ability of a task to be performed. If the task requires high cognitive ability, this task will be difficult to automate, and it should not be automated to a larger extent. And I'll give you an example on that. The medium cognitive ability, low cognitive ability. Low cognitive ability we must do. There's no question about it. That releases the bandwidth of intellectual resources to do much higher medium and high cognitive ability work. So that's the first dimension. So I was giving you an example of something we shouldn't automate. So we all seen IVRs. IVR has been the worst customer experience generator for any industry. So I went to Royal Bank of Scotland in London office, and I was sitting in the reception. I saw a big board there. The board said, we don't have IVR. We have human beings on the other side to answer your problems. And that is such a powerful and profound statement, So they've chosen the differentiator for Royal Bank of Scotland in UK was, we're not going to be putting through an IVR pane. There is a human being you can talk to and get your issue resolved. So these two factors, and the last point is, we have a very diverse user set. In India, the user set is from a generation X to generation Y to a operator who's from a village who's working in a plant or a factory, 300 miles from the main city. We have 22 national languages, which is part of 8th schedule. Now, I am a person who wants to speak in a particular language. I'm more comfortable in that. And if you give me only English as an option to do self-service, you've lost me. I wouldn't even be able to even understand what you are saying. And I would rather call an engineer who understands my problem and quickly solves it for me. Mm-hmm. So in summary, understanding business process and putting tool as the solution, not the front. B, don't automate where it should not automate. And third, look at the diversity of India and give solutions which are more regional, more local for the person to become comfortable. Then it will become a game changer.
Yes. Thanks, DJ. In fact, I think we have now got the flavor of the third point, which is automation as a game changer, but depending on where it is required. Okay. We'll take a very, very short 2-3 minutes break where we are coming for the quiz here. Now I will request Sagar and Sandeep to take over for the quiz. There will be 2 quizzes back to back and 3 winners per quiz. Sagar. Everybody should open on the browser myquiz.org.
I'm so sorry, I was on mute. I didn't realize it. Yeah, welcome everyone. So I'm Sagar and I have with me Sandeep Seni. So this is
just open your website URL.
Yeah, just open your browser, enter this URL www.myquiz.org. So what we are going to do, once you reach on the home page of this URL, we'll flash a code for you that you can enter the code here, and there will be a quiz, and 3 people who will answer correctly to that quiz, they will get the Amazon vouchers from us. And we don't have just 1 question, we have 2 questions in this break and 2 questions in the next break. So most of you can win this Amazon voucher. So I request everyone to please open your browser, enter this URL www.myquiz.org, reach to the home page, and we'll flash the quiz code soon.
Very simple quizzes.
Yeah, very simple. I think, Sandeep, can we move on to the next quiz, the code part? Okay.
Start, Sagar.
No, don't start it. Let's wait. So this is the quiz code, 517657. Just open your URL, this www.myquiz.org, reach to the home screen as shown previously, and enter this quiz code 517657.
517657.
I request everyone to please show that sportsmanship here. We still not have so many users logging in.
Yeah, people have started logging in. Yes.
People have started logging in. I want to see more people logging in. Okay, so now we have more people. Okay. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much for showing the sportsmanship. We'll wait for next 10-15 seconds and then we'll start the quiz. So once the quiz will be started, you will get around 10 seconds to choose for the right answer, and 3 people who will answer that correctly would get the Amazon vouchers from us.
Fastest finger first.
Yeah. So Sandeep, I think in next 5 seconds you can start the quiz. I think still people are logging in. Hold on. Okay, so people have they now realized how to do it. Okay, Sandeep, I think you can go ahead now. Yeah.
Here we go.
So the first question: the internet is an example of a cell switch network, circuit switch network, packet switch network, or all of the above. Okay, a lot of people have answered it right. Okay. So the right answer is packet switch network, and congratulations to everyone. Okay, so we have 3 winners here who answered it correctly. AB, Himanshu Mishra, Subhranshu Sasmal. Congratulations everyone for participating here. You will get the Amazon vouchers very soon from us. Okay, Sandeep, I think can we go on to next quiz?
So the next code for the next quiz is 5.
Okay, so I tell you what you guys have to do now. I think you are still stuck on the last screen. Just click on this My Quiz icon on the left of your screen. On the top left, you will reach on the home page again, where you can type this new quiz code, which is 517660. If you are still stuck on the last screen, just log on to, click on this My Quiz logo on the left side of your screen. You will reach to the home page. There you will see to enter the quiz code again. This is the new quiz code 517660. I think IT people are smart and they know how to log in quickly again. Thank you so much for your sportsmanship. We have 27 users right now, 31. Okay, the numbers are going up. I think we'll wait for another 5-7 seconds and then we'll start the second round of the quiz. I think Sandeep, we got a couple of entries. Let's go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. The question is Bluetooth is an example of below are the options: personal area network, local area network, virtual private network, and none of the above. So
Personal area network, local area network, virtual private network, or none of the above.
the answer is personal
So 50% people have answered correctly. Nice.
Mr. Kiran, Samir Tiku sir, and Himanshu Mishra. Congratulations to all 3 participants. Thank you.
Congratulations, everyone. So this is not the end. We'll have again a short quiz with 2 questions. You guys can carry on till then. Over to you, Mr. Prasanjit. Thank you.
Thank you, Sagar. Thank you, Sandeep. Okay. So after a quiz break, we are again back for our session. So we already have covered 3 building blocks. Now the fourth one, I think I want to add the fourth one from my side, which I think is managing contingencies effectively, meaning business continuity planning coupled with partners' flexibility and alignment to that. Want to ask all the 3 panelists, one after another, in your views, what are the effective business continuity plan strategies, and what is your expectation from your managed service partner to align with your BCP strategy? Rajiv, over to you.
Sure. Thanks, Prasan. Let's understand that, what is a BCP in a hospital, okay, especially in a tertiary care hospital.
Right.
BCP for us is not, if my trial balance is not able to generate in 5 minutes or 10 minutes, or even if the balance sheet is an issue, we will live with that. And I have lived with that. Okay. Even there are, at least in 7 years, 6 year plus, I have one instance on a particular month end, we were not able to generate payroll at 5:30. So it got delayed with 3 hours. Nobody even touched me or asked me. But just imagine that I don't have internet connectivity or my LAN connectivity in my OT theater or my lab analyzer, which gives results to roughly 17,000 odd blood tests which are done per day, or there is a bedside test which has to be done on the ICU, mainly in the ICU, or a mobile X-ray which has to be taken to a bedside, which is ICU patient can't move to. You know, if any of the stuff is not working, I will have my field day. Okay, so for now to have the BCP for each of them is a mega task. You know, building a MRI and CT, having a BCP is challenging unless you have two BCP, two MRI, which is one back of the other. So for us, the BCP, you know, what we thought and which we agreed and documented in our BCP document, which came into picture after, you know, I started looking into this, is that we will not have a BCP for OT, which means that if, you know, God forbids anything happens to our 48 OTs in Medanta, and this is the highest number of OTs under one single roof in the whole country, okay, then I have no other mechanism but to postpone operation theaters. But what we have done is that now I have for all the systems which are 100% controlled by IT, and these include IoT devices like the lab analyzers, the mobile X-rays. We have come out with BCP with all the partners in place, including my DR plan for moving some of those core operations of my EMR, my HIS, which are more of record keeping system for health records, to other locations, because now we have other hospitals. So what was happening is that, and before that, whenever you talk to any BCP IT service provider, they will say that we will have primary, secondary, we will have HA, we will have the same replica getting, you know, moved to one more server outside the region, and same thing can be, you know, transition in 30 minutes, which means that if this side goes down, transition up to 1 minute will be, you know, will be lost, but otherwise rest is there, and we can make the server up and running in less than 30 minutes. So this was the definition of BCP, which is done by banks and other financial institutions for ages and ages. You know, they have been doing it for, I think, from the day one. But for us, for a hospital, it was one of the major challenge which we did, and trust me, not many hospitals have done it successfully. But I have not been able to, you know, convince most of the service provider, and some of them are biomedical device service provider who have large component of IT into their ecosystem to come out with BCP and DR. Challenge will remain same, because what happens is that we all know that as soon as the BCP or DR comes into play, the cost becomes more than double. It's not simply double, it becomes more than double. And that's where the major challenge for me in the healthcare service side is that, you know, how do I balance, because ultimately this cost has to be recovered from the patient. In any, you know, social media is full of all kind of negativity for hospital sector, despite this pandemic where, you know, we are the flavor of the day, that how do you increase the cost. So I'm doing this very slowly, this thin balance between not escalating the cost and slowly moving some of the services into BCP by bringing all the partners into play, where, let's take a simple example, if my analyzer is not working, I have come out with a mechanism by which analyzer is directly attached to a simple laptop and desktop, and I can look into this, which means that I'll not be able to carry out all the 17,000 odd tests, but some of the high priority, high severe, a guy who's going into OT, I can pull out the test of that particular guy and at least show to the surgeon that ready to go for a surgery, something equivalent. So it's a very difficult task, especially in a heterogeneous environment where it is not about PC, laptop, servers and desktops or printer. It is a different, we have more than 300 devices, type of devices which are connected to my LAN environment. Okay, most of us can't even put 20 in a piece of paper that name 20 devices which can be put on a LAN. I have 350.
So the partner should be able to understand your business, understand the other devices, the connected devices which are there. Okay.
Yeah.
They should be in sync with that. Okay. So
Yep.
that strategy should be there. Great. Thanks. Thanks, Rajiv. Suresh, some thoughts on this from you?
Yeah, it's a really $1 million question where actually it's not medical now, it's coming everywhere because it's more to do with finance. I can even rate past 6 months, we found more than 20,000 people had missed lead because of the information doesn't flow to them, or the trust which is not coping with the people, which I'm talking about only my side. To take it from the huge banks, I don't know, the people who died because of virus could be less, the people who died up because of finance could be more. That's a way it is so crucial, and we call it internally so many strategies, especially part of centers of excellence, which we put it part of the BCP. I will throw like why managed service is more important so that it enables to do it. Recently, we did our AGM, which is the first time we came out fully on what do you say, digital. And the digital currently what's happening is what majority people talk digital, but very few companies are matured to understand.
I think we have lost Suresh.
Person can enable and try to bring out that technology on time. So when you say it's a potential service part of the PCP, we have something called complete transparency and control, which create as much as visibility of information, which is available to the partners for the customers. Then comes the delivery excellence, which is not just SLA based, it's more of a trust based. For me, e-business is less of electronics, more of emotions. Try to create that as much, try to bring it out. And again, we have to have as much of lower cost with minimum risk. That is also one of the potential try to bring it out. And that major point is like internal employees. That's very, very high in terms of high risk, resource trying to do the retention. Because one side you talk about rural and other side you try to do it. So here we do bring dual band of to attract talent using the technology. It enables them not to personally commit and land up in some issues. So utilize as much as the thought focus, bringing the best, which we can try to utilize from it, and technology enables them to do things correctly. And the last one, which generally very unique for us, is cultural alignment. The cultural alignment, when you talk about rural India, try to do it. Like other one of the speaker also said, the multilingual, the local language, it works out very high. So when you try to bring out how to create that trust, or even the particular person is depending on us, that work like as extension of his team and trying to bring it out. When you try to align such adopting, getting into the client, we create something called client policies. It's specific to the client. We is trying to define. He will try to monitor it. He will trade. The particular executive, if I visit your office, it takes more than 20 minutes to pay money and get out of your office, or whatever it is, the incentive for my employees based on that. So everything which is a parameter set, and we have created a hybrid captive services, which has multiple approach services strategy, which even go to the level of saying COE on payments, COE on a fundraising. So every small element which is attached to the BCP, and how many times they are adhered to the timings. Even COE infrastructure is very critical. IT is rated on that. For last so many years, we got only 3.5. The expected and the excellence is 4.2 to 4.5. So for 20 years with all the things, 3.5 is what we got. But that expected is 5. And 4.2 is the trend set. So this kind of expectations, when you bring it out to the PCP and try to use automation, again, how automation does it, even automation as a COE, whether this is a relevant automation, by doing is, even the customer got the benefit, even the end customer said, no, this is what I'm looking for. Otherwise, you claim as an automation, which is nothing but one of the person's work, which try to do it. The recent one, I can say proudly, is the BPO now, which is getting as much as planned through digital, which was very successful, and other finance companies started asking us how you are able to do it, how you are able to take it. This was purely done by the managed services. And it's like a 0 to 10, like no fill rate, like first time, and it was at 9. So this kind of solutions, when it comes, the PCP works as much as trying to bring it out and trying to align the key identified, whatever you call it as technology, people, process. But now it is slightly aligned with that kind of business re-engineering process. Still align that what are the challenges, we call it risk, scalability, local, all those things now part of the managed services, which enables us to deliver the best for the customer, but ensure like your standards also improves and your services can go ahead a little bit, because now IT, especially in finance, is reach and speed. How fast you can reach to the customer, how fast you can do the delivery, means money reaching to him. Even in a midnight, somebody says somebody had some problem and they want within 15 minutes. Now it is reduced to as much as with supplying out of the information the system should revert. Even a small issue, it should set within 20 minutes to go back to them. So every small thing which is set part of the BCP now, and it enables us to cover the risk, again financial, ensure the information, and we try to do that even order to cash. So all those things come part of the finance and trying to use it. And overall NetShell is developed by the managed services to have that application management service, which is a rating every year, which like if proportionate some particular time in first 4 months you have taken 3.5, and remaining months you got 2 also, you will be rated as 2. It won't be average 2. The majority of that months, which is resulting on that, even though it is distinguished, but still that services is catered to the end user, and the end user puts that weightage to the IT, and IT has to continue to commit, and that so far we have reached this 3.5, where the benchmark is 4.2, and that actual expectation is 5.
Okay. Right, Suresh. Thanks. DJ, I have a question for you, which we have received from our audience. And I think you will be the right person to answer this question. It is from Mr. Tamal Chakravarti, who is the CIO for Landmark Group Dubai. How should Managed Service 5.0 work in a global Indian company? And would the same principle hold good? I think it's not complete. Yeah. So how would MS 5.0 work in a global Indian company?
Sure. Thanks, Tamal, for asking that question. So answer is yes, because all the components we've discussed so far are applicable to the company. In fact, they're more applicable, because if you don't understand the nuance of global company, global Indian company, since I worked in Wipro for many years, we operate in 55 countries, right? Now, unless I know what is the nature of service required for Germany versus France versus Latin America, I would not be able to design a good solution. So to understand the business context of each of the geography, and to really give service which is aligned to that geography. For example, let me take a quick one. We were serving a customer, the Mattel Corporation, all of you know, they make Barbie doll. They're headquartered in Los Angeles, and they had a center in Buenos Aires, Argentina. And that center was not able to communicate the problem of they had issues with respect to IT, and they don't speak English as well as others do. And we had used a language translator so language translator work like you register a complaint in your language, language translators, online translation, communicates in English, and vice versa. Now, the whole experience was so frustrating for that person. He says, look, I want to quickly cancel the contract because this cannot work. When I have a fire at my plant, you can't be not understanding what I'm trying to say. So not understanding the context, pushing a standard service model, which is good for one country to other country, was a disaster. So all these principles of understanding business context, differentiating between what is required for business process, which are business are more critical, which are less critical, that understanding is required even more for these Indian global companies who operate out of different countries.
Okay. So what we understand from this discussion now, the fourth building block is basically managing contingencies effectively. How can we do it along with the managed partners? Okay. Now, I have some pertinent question in mind, and I presume that if our leaders now collaborate here, we will be able to get our fifth building block. Now, after this pandemic, how have you all re-evaluated your expectations from managed service provider such that you are better prepared for any more crisis occurring in future? Any plans for optimized resource utilization or reduced manpower cost or remote management competencies? Okay, there might be required that physical manpower is not required at a place. Flexi engagement models, rather transaction-based pricing. So these are the different things which is coming after this particular pandemic. Now, I would ask Mayank if you can throw some light on this.
Yeah, thanks, Prasenjit. I think very, very relevant, and pertinent question. I think more so in today's context. I think sometime back, it was felt by business that a physical presence is necessary, from their side, and of course, anybody who's working with them, which will be essentially any of the support functions or any of the partner functions, that they need to be physically under the same roof if needed, perhaps, right next to each other for discussing or resolving any kind of a situation. Whereas technology has been largely built and evolved over a period of time to work in a remote setup. And I think India has been a pioneer for getting some of those things, maybe not developing them at our own end, but really championing cause of offshoring, getting things done locally in the country, and then providing remote support. And this has been the practice in large technology organizations for ages, maybe a decade or maybe a couple of decades. But this is something that business usually found challenges or difficulty in adopting. How would it be, or why can't somebody be at my desk to address a particular issue? Pandemic really threw all of those notions out in the ocean, in the wind. Choose an appropriate place and dump it there. But that's what really happened, where it became clearly a necessity that people will have to work remotely. They will have to understand each other in that setup and use a shared screen to engage, explain the problem. And for the engineers also, where at times, people used to say, okay, I'm not able to understand, I'm not able to work on it. Let me come over to my desk. What time would you be available? No such possibility exists right now. So both the consumers and the providers actually had to work with this, where there was some bit of understanding, some bit of working with, that existed, maybe 60%, maybe in more evolved setup, 80-85%. But in pandemic situation, it had to be 100%. Anything else was just a catastrophe. Either the user would not be able to work, or you'll have to kind of find an alternate asset to be sent across, depending on how the courier services could work. So I think that notion, more than anything else, I mean, of course, people are looking at how do they optimize their costs, because businesses are, are taking a hit because of pandemic. Their customers are taking a hit because of pandemic. But I think the deepest realization that I have come to realize in my organization, and speaking with a lot of friends in the industry, in different industries, is that things can be worked remotely. People would be able to address some of these things remotely. So the notion of that somebody has to be there in your premises, even in our office premises, and then working remotely, is no longer valid. A person could be anywhere and actually provide an equivalent level of support, to the extent that the person would be able to provide in being there in the offices. We found this acceptance of the user's side as well, that gives them more flexibility, gives them more convenience, and of course it has helped in improving the productivity for the engineers, because sometimes they would go try connecting with the user, and that person is not available, or would say come back later. So all of that downtime used to be there, and the problem was not getting resolved. So in terms of the priorities, or in terms of the maximum impact that one would have seen, or at least in our setup, we believe that a lot of peers in the industry are experiencing it, that remote working or a distributed setup for handling the managed services part has gained far more acceptance than it ever had. And we believe that this would give a better experience again for the users. And I think it should help in improving or at least keeping the productivity levels and the effectiveness levels for the engineers or the managed services team, I think, to a better level than what it was in a pre-pandemic stage. So whatever the matrices that we've tracked, we've not really seen any of those dips there. Yes, there have been concerns around that, people are working for longer hours and all, but presuming that, that is now tapered off, and, I think people have mostly adopted to their new normal in their own organization or in their industry. With that, we find that, the productivity levels are still, are equivalent or better. And, I think from a user side, we've not really seen any dip on our CSAT scores that we measure on a month-on-month basis. If at all, I think people have, come out with their stories on how they were able to get better support from the technology teams or the providers during this period, where nothing else was possible. So that's our take on it.
Okay, Mike. So, DJ, what are your final thoughts on the same, like on flexi engagement model or transaction-based pricing? Okay, if you're thinking of the fifth building block, will this work? Your thoughts on this?
Yeah, absolutely. And great point made by Mayank. Now, my point is, the whole thing, what we're talking about, it's a very important point in terms of optimized resources, flexi engagement model, reducing manpower cost. Now, the principle behind all of it is the whole organization does not need same level of support. And I give an example. I was talking to one of the largest retailer in the country a few years back, and they had 11 formats of stores in the country, retail formats, right? One grocery, one clothes, and one specialist shoes, etc. And when I gave a proposal, the first question they asked me, look, what's the cost per square feet of your proposal? I said, look, what is cost per square feet got to do with my proposal? I said, Mr. X, you can divide the value I've given you, divide by number of square feet, you will get the cost per square feet. Then I realized how stupid I was. So the concept was, he said, look, I generate different revenue from different stores, right? So for me, a grocery store, 1 hour of downtime is significantly higher value compared to some of the store like specialist shoe, where my average sale of a day is so low that your service delivery cost is much higher than that. Mm-hmm. So why don't you redesign and redistribute resources, give more resources to grocery store, give lesser resources to, even if you give, let's say, 8-hour response time, I'm fine, because I don't lose any business if machine is down for a few hours. So please understand my business. Give me what is right for a more critical operation, less critical operation. That's one. Secondly, all of us are big fan of 24/7, 12/7, 12/5. We have coined those terms. Now, when we analyze data, we find that after the working hours are over for any company, the number of users are fraction of the total population of the users. They'll be like 10%, 15%, 20%. Some of us who have a habit to stay late, we'll probably be finance guys and all who will continue till 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. Now for 10 users, do you want to keep a full engineer occupied? Similarly, 24/7, you're talking the graveyard shift, as we call. The number of calls are hardly any. The guy, this is the biggest punishment to a guy who's high productive, that give him a night shift and there's no work to do. So the moment I look at the volume of work, the pattern of work, and then I decide my alignment of resources, automatically my cost will get rightly aligned. I will not spend time. So I will have a very alternate mechanism of serving customer after 6 o'clock, right? I'll say, look, and I will go back to Mayank and Rajiv and Suresh, look, can I give you 1 hour extra response time if you're okay with virtually no cost? So I can use a pooled resource, right? So those are the discussion the managed service provider has. So it's like a bespoke, Rolls-Royce is bespoke. You develop for a customer. So managed service cannot be put into one box and everybody should follow that model. Look at the customer, the business context always rules the first, and then you align the solution. The cost will follow the solution. Mm-hmm. So don't give a Mercedes when somebody needs a Maruti 800, and don't give him Maruti 800 if he needs. Give him Maruti 800 if he needs that. So right sizing for the right organization is the key.
Right. Thanks, Riche. Now we come to the second quiz time. So Sagar and Sandeep, up to you.
Yes, we are here. I think last time we saw a lot of people playing for that quiz. So we are here again. If you missed last time, I request everyone to open your browser, enter this URL www.myquiz.org. You will reach to this homepage where you will see the option to enter the quiz code. I think Sandeep, we can see the quiz code now. Yes. So this is the quiz code for the third quiz. Like last time, we will have a question and 3 people who will answer correctly and quickly will get those vouchers. So the quiz code is 517661. You just have to open your browser, enter the URL www.myquiz.org, and you are good to go. So in next 10 seconds, we'll show you the question. Okay, we have we have more than 20 people who have already joined in. Thank you so much. I request, in fact, all the people in the panelists, you can also please go ahead and play the quiz. Try your hands on. It's not like that you can't have anything. You are also free to play. Okay, Sandeep, I think let's wait for 10 more seconds and you can then go ahead with the quiz. Okay, Sandeep, let's start. Okay, the question is, which among the following were the first computer virus? It's Configure, I Love You, Melissa, or Eric. Okay, we have received a lot of entries. Okay, congratulations everyone. So we have Mr. Rajat Goel, Mr. Sridhar, and Mr. Samir Tikku. Thank you so much everyone for playing it. Sandeep, can we have the next quiz quickly?
You did not say
Okay.
the answer.
Yeah. So again, you have to do the same thing. Sandeep, can we have a quiz code for that second quiz? Okay. So this is the last quiz. I want everyone to please, if you have not participated yet, please show sportsmanship and please do participate. So this is the quiz code. If you're still stuck on the last screen, just click on the My Quiz logo on the left side of your screen. You will see the homepage where you will see the option to enter this quiz code, which is 517664. We'll wait for everyone to please log into this page. We'll wait for another 15 seconds so we can start the quiz. This is the last quiz. I request everyone, please, if you have not participated, let's participate and let's win it. Okay, Sandeep, I think in next 10 seconds, we are good to go for the quiz. Okay, we have 40 users now. Sandeep, let's go ahead. Okay, here we have the next question. In what year was the ad chosen for its use in email address? In what year was the @ chosen for its use in email addresses? 1976, 1972, 1980, or 1984? Thank you so much everyone for playing the quiz. The right answer is 1972. Okay, congratulations Shivam. Sridhar, Mr. Samir Tikku again. Sridhar and Samir Tikku, you are very fast in answering all the questions correctly. I don't know how. Okay, I think congratulations everyone. So that's it from my and Sandeep's side. Thank you so much for coming for this webinar and participating and showing that sportsmanship. We'll see you soon. Bye. Over to you, Mr. Prasanjit.
Thank you, Sagar. Thank you, Sandeep. So we have just reached the fag end of this particular webinar, where as a first foundation for Managed Service 5.0, we have been able to capture 5 key drivers for managed service engagement. The first definitely is business SLA versus IT SLA. We need to look beyond IT SLA. The second building block was business process aligned service delivery. The third is automation, yes, a game changer. Fourth, managing contingencies effectively. And the fifth, optimized resource utilization, flexi engagement model, and transaction-based pricing. These are the true futuristic thoughts and new normal for managed service engagement. In fact, I've been seeing many comments from our delegates and the audience who are there. And we have actually thought of coming with an advisory board where we have started the first stepping stone for this, building this MS 5.0. Now we require inputs from all the leaders from the industry. Definitely we have Mayank, Rajiv and Suresh who are there, and I have extended them a role of advisory to help build this particular building or this particular model, so that which will be useful for the industry. Everyone can use it. Okay, so and definitely we'll be sending you emails seeking or soliciting your time if you can give us for advisory role to build this particular MS Service 5.0 model. Okay, so we are positive that you all have found this session valuable enough to rethink on your managed service strategy. We shall have a series of co-creation with you in next couple of weeks, where we shall deep dive into each of these 5 components what we discussed today. And we shall be sending you a feedback form also. Please fill them and send us back. Thanking all the panelists for sparing your valuable time and sharing your insights, and continue to architect this model of MS 5.0. Thanking all the attendees also for your participation, but please hold on, don't go anywhere. We have a session, today is Thursday, we are nearing the evening, and we have a session on cocktail preparation from India's best mixologist, Mr. Pratik Arora. So just hold on, watch it. You can go back home. If you're already at home, you can try it now, or you're in office, you can go back home and try it today. You will enjoy. Pratik.
So good evening, everybody. And thank you, Prasanjit, for the kind introduction. My name is Pratik, and I will be your accompanying, or rather the accomplice to the Chai Pe Charcha, which has now become the Cocktail Pe Charcha, only for today. Thanks to the rains, the weekend has also come in a little early, and I couldn't have looked for a better time and opportunity to share what I know about this wonderful world of cocktails and beverages with you all. Some of you might have been a part of this journey through the other sessions that team has had me on board for. However, today I personally would like to welcome each one of the new members or the joinees who are attending my first session. And I hope you like it as much as I love talking to each one of you. Although I still miss that face-to-face interaction, seeing you all, raising a toast to your good health. But well, this is the digital reality we all live in, and I hope you still enjoy it as much. So for today, I have chosen a drink which is not only seasonal, and before the season actually gets over, it's something which will set the right spirits at your home bar. It's a very easy to make drink, and something which doesn't need you to get a degree or a qualification to execute at home. This is something very important. I would like each one of you to remember that at the end of the day, a cocktail is nothing but 2 to 3 kinds of different ingredients, including alcohol, mixed together. So that's our starting point. So if you've got that in mind, you can probably become a master bartender or a master mixologist right in your living room, right? So all it'll take is a few, I would say, small investments. And I use the word investment very consciously, because I really feel a good drink needs a little bit of your time and resources. So what you need to simply stock up on is 2 to 3 key equipments. Number one being a cocktail shaker. So this is something which you would have seen probably in every bar that you go. It looks like this. This is called a 3-piece shaker because it has 3 parts to it. So one is the main glass, the mixing glass. There is a top lid, which is a small lid to it. And then you've got the middle part, which is actually the cap or the top through which the drink comes out. If you see, it has these perforations so that you can literally pour out your drink right out of this. Yeah. So this is a very good investment. It won't cost you too much, but still makes great drinks. Another thing I would really request you to consider is this, which is an integral part of the shaker I just showed you. It's called a strainer or a Hawthorne strainer. Yes, the name is complicated, but it's still a very easy equipment. So if you see, there's a nice coil around it. And what it does essentially is that it sits on a standard cocktail shaker like this. It grips it well. So they are the Ram Lakhan of the cocktail mixology world. So I would highly recommend that if nothing else, you spend some time and resources on these. And another important thing which you might want to consider is a muddler. It looks like this, right? So it's something which you can use to squeeze fresh juice or muddle, as they say, a certain ingredient, which I'll be doing today in front of you. And the last thing is a bar spoon. So a bar spoon is nothing but an extended long spoon which can easily go into any kind of glassware or even this cocktail shaker when you're trying to mix a drink together, right? So this is what you just need as equipment, so to say, to become a world-class mixologist. And I won't lie, most of your professional bartenders play around with this. So more than the fancy ingredients and what you see around, this is what really creates a great drink, right? So this is one. And the other thing which I would request you to invest in is about 2 to 3 categories of alcohol. As you can see at my back, you're good to have a vodka in your bar, always an easy peasy neutral spirit. You should have a nice white rum. In this case, we're talking about a Bacardi. Or the third option, which we Indians also love, is a whiskey. For just the display purpose, we have an American whiskey here, but I would request that if you have options, you keep a blended whiskey like a Scotch, which is Johnny Walker, or you can also use a American whiskey like a Jack Daniels, or even Jim Beam. So these are very versatile Scotch whiskies and American whiskies which you can use for your cocktail making. And last but not least, you'll be surprised to know the magic formula for each of the drinks which all of us have, but we don't look at, which is your refrigerator. So right now, if you just turn around or if your refrigerator is somewhere in reach, you'll be surprised to see you would have at least 4 to 5 ingredients just ready, right there in your fridge. So many times we think that we need something very complicated or something exuberantly expensive to make a nice drink, but that's not true. While we speak, if you got lemon, nimbu, if you got dhania mirchi, which the housewives love to haggle about in terms of quantity and price, which is your coriander and chili. And if you have even your basic salt or a black salt or a rock salt, you have your ingredients ready for a nice evening cocktail. And this is what I'm going to show you today. And the drink I have shortlisted today, because you have all the ingredients ready, is called a mango basil mojito. And for the times that we are in, we'll call it the mango basil covito rather. It's a little ode to the COVID times that we are in. And I really hope, and I sincerely hope that we are all safe and we come out of this mess very soon. So without further ado, I'll give you a quick demo of this drink, a cocktail called the mango basil mojito, which for the teetotalers and people who don't like the taste of alcohol can still have if you minus the spirit part, which I'll show you how easy it is to do. So what we need to get started is a big glass. Typically this kind of a glass, what you call as the tumbler or a rocks glass, is something which you can easily stock at home. It might come in a shape like this, right? So you take a glass which is reasonably big and a little wide. So what you essentially want is enough quantity and enough space to move around your stirrer, or if you have to put it in a shaker. What you of course need is fresh fruit now. So when I say mango basil, I'm of course going to use mango in it. So this is chopped mangoes, and before they go out of season, you must get a few and try this drink at home. So I'm going to put about 6 to 8 pieces of this in my glass. And for some of you who already stocked up on the ingredients or might have it handy, it'll be great if you could just join me into making this together. Yeah. All right. So I have about 6 to 8 pieces of these put in the glass that I just showed you. So yeah, fresh fruits, always healthier. Along with which I'm going to take a handful of basil leaves, just tap them nicely on my palm. So I'm holding it by the left hand. I'll use my right hand to simply just tap these leaves. And if you do this experiment at home, you'll be able to see how the aromas are actually released by tapping. I can, my hand is all about basil right now. Just stir them lightly and put it in my glass, which I just showed you. So there it goes. If you like your drink to be more having that basil refreshing taste, which I love, then you might want to put in a few more leaves and then get it in. Yeah. So all of them have gone in. Now we use what we call as a muddler, which I just showed you, if you can stock up on this as an equipment. And we'll just gently press this on the mango and the basil together. So it becomes a little mushy, also messy in the glass. But what it essentially does is that it puts the flavor out from both the fruit and the leaves, because you're essentially breaking their structure to release oils. So don't worry if it looks messy, it's supposed to. And you do it right in the glass, or you can even do it if you're not comfortable that your glass might break or there might be it might be too fragile, you can just do it in the shaker and put it back. Yeah. So this is how it looks after you muddle the drink together. And I'm going to keep it on the side. Now I have an option of using a lemon wedge, which is basically lemon slice without the seeds. If you want a little hint of that classic mojito in it, which is essentially mint leaves and lemon, just squeeze it into this so that it brings a little bit of that citrus zing to your drink. And after that, what I'm going to do is, and again, this is one ingredient I feel at least in all of North India you will find very easily, is this gentleman with his face right on the packaging, which is a MD8 chaat masala. Now, why chaat masala? Because it's interesting because I travel a lot for learning about wines, cocktails throughout the world. I see that they have a lot of pride in their local recipes or what they grow locally or their mama's 100-year-old recipes. So why is it that we as Indians in our drinks don't use the same? So this is something which is, I think, one of the most complex ingredients which none of us at home can replicate, but you can always buy it, right? So just invest again in a chunky chaat masala, and you maybe use about a fourth or a third of a teaspoon, which is roughly around 2.5 grams, 2 grams. So I'm using the bar spoon, and then put it on this little muddled basil and mango combination. Yeah. So this has gone into my glass. After which, now you have a choice to simply add ice and top it up with soda. For those who don't like the taste of alcohol or by choice are teetotalers. However, in this case, since I would like to be generous and on your behalf be a little more selfish, I'll pour in a little bit of white rum. In this case, it's a Bacardi, for which I will actually pour it in what we called a pourer or a jigger, as we say, about 45 ml of this. So this goes into my drink. This is about 45 ml. I'm trying to not make it a 60 because 60 becomes a little too strong for this kind of a drink. So this has gone into my glass. I give it a nice stir. Like I told you, you need a nice long spoon to just move the drink around a bit and mix it evenly, right? Again, we keep the bar spoon on the side, and then we need some ice to chill this drink. In my case, I put it in a glass, which is, thanks to the summer, the ice has melted a bit, but I can always, like I showed you, I can put it back. Again, these are little hacks which you can do at home as well, right? So I'll put it in my shaker, right? So I've done this, and this is only ice, by the way. I use this to empty out all the water. So you've got nice chilled water where the ice was, and what is left behind is actually ice, right? Which I can put back in my drink because I don't want my drink to be diluted too much. So very simple hack, but again, because if you have these simple instruments at home, you can just use them as you play along with recipes. Again, give it a nice stir. After which, for whatever little space I have left here, which is about 80 to 100 ml, I'm going to top it up with some club soda, right? Again, one ingredient which every household, every fridge, every bar will have, and make sure that your soda is nice and fizzy. You don't want it to taste like water. So you put some soda just to top up the drink. Just up to the level where it's comfortable to sip on. And again, we give it a nice mix. What you want at all points is your drink to be nicely, homogeneously mixed without too much of dilution through the ice. And then that's it. You're ready to drink. And if you've noticed, I have not added any sugar syrup or added sugar to this, which I can always do because it's something like this that I normally use the powdered sugar. But when you're using a fresh seasonal fruit, especially for health reasons, I prefer that the drinks are low on sugar and you get the flavor of the natural ingredient itself. So you can always adjust it to your taste. And as we say in Indian food, that you can add the namak swad anusar. In drinks, you can add your sugar swad anusar. So if you like sweeter drinks, add about a teaspoon or a little more of that sugar. Other than that, you really don't need much. And this easy mango basil mojito is yours to enjoy. Cheers.
Great. Cheers. So, Pratik, thanks. In fact, I think everyone who are watching, they will go back today and try this out. Okay. And weekend is nearing by. So,
yeah,
the family, they will enjoy this particular drink, which has been explained by you. Wonderful.
Happy to hear that.
Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you, Pratik.
Thank you so much. Always a pleasure.
Yeah. So, friends, we shall be conducting such webinar series in forthcoming days, and hence will solicit your participation. Please stay safe, stay fit, and stay positive. Thank you. Signing off.